There was apparent financial motive, and I think there was another motive here. They want to discredit, dehumanize our federal agents. This is part of the narrative to encourage people to stand up to our agents and to assault them.
A Mexican national in California is now facing federal charges after she allegedly tried to fake her own kidnapping and blame it on ICE. The DOJ says Yuriana Calderon lied about being taken to the border at gunpoint by federal agents and that she staged these fake photos, trying to make it look like she was in federal custody. But the DOJ says that the whole thing was an elaborate hoax to solicit donations. Officials pointed out that she would have had to remove her necklace in an official booking photo, and surveillance footage shows Calderon walking by herself to a nearby van after she was, quote, kidnapped by ICE. Now the prosecutor handling the case thinks Calderon was motivated by more than just money. Watch.
There was apparent financial motive, and I think there was another motive here. They want to discredit, dehumanize our federal agents. This is part of the narrative to encourage people to stand up to our agents and to assault them.
And we've seen dangerous anti-ICE rhetoric lead to actual violence. Last week, protesters hurled large rocks at officials during a raid in California. And multiple agents were hospitalized in just the past few weeks, including one who was hit by one of those rocks and another who was dragged on the side of a van by a fleeing suspect. Trace, you talked about this earlier when we opened the show about this climate, and right. Hoaxes like this certainly do not help.
Listen, it all leads back to our top story, which is exactly what you said. I don't care about the fake pictures. What you care about is the fact that everybody said, oh, yeah, kidnapped. Absolutely kidnapped. This woman, she looks like a kidnapped victim, right? Nobody's questioning it. Nobody's saying, that's odd. It's really odd. Are they saying? So everybody automatically buys this narrative that ICE agents are bad. They're bad. They're going in. The governor of California is saying, oh, they're going through summer camps and they're scaring all the kids. And you have the mayor of Los Angeles day in and day out saying they're wearing masks. They're scaring people. They're going in abducting people. They're kidnapping people off the street. And when this woman makes this whole thing up, everybody just nods their head like, boy, that is so sad for that woman, just kidnapped by ICE. It's crazy that we are buying these narratives at face value without anybody saying, hold on. Just like the sheriff thing. People are saying, initially they're like, hey, listen, it's an accident. It's an accident. Don't do anything because it's an accident. Because you know social media is going to explode with, there they go, attacking ICE agents again, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually a really good point, because I've actually seen some videos where there's people out there that are creating YouTube channels and staging an attempt of getting kidnapped by ICE agents. And this one in particular is about, sending photos, trying to create a donation page for something. And no, I've actually been seeing some videos and you can tell they're actually fake. Because one, every time you see on the news that agents are going to apprehend people, every time you see these agents, they're wearing a bulletproof vest with tactical gear. They could be in civilian clothes, always having a pistol on their hip, and something says police or ICE, always on their uniform, whether it's in big letters, whether it's in small letters. I mean, they have identification that's on them and a badge. And the videos that I see that are fake, they typically just have their bulletproof vest, they're in civilian clothes, no badge. Sometimes they'll have a fake badge, but definitely no pistol on their hip. And that kind of gives it away completely. Because if you're an agent, you know the mission of what you're supposed to be doing, helping the administration get these mass deportations. Everybody should be armed. Every ICE agent, every police agent, every agent in law should be armed. Because you never know what you're going to encounter. And we're already seeing videos of people that are trying to fire back at ICE agents and using rocks and weapons to attack them. I mean, all these people are going to be going to jail. They're going to be finding all these people sooner or later. Cameras are everywhere. Even if you think you didn't get caught this time, you will be caught sooner or later.
And depending on the state, Kennedy, these types of crimes are classified essentially as a crime against the public. that it's considered so injurious to public morale and to the authenticity of these reports because of that, because it is so dangerous to put forth a false narrative either against a fellow citizen or here against ICE, especially in this really incendiary climate.
Yeah, and depending what she's charged with, she could spend some real time behind bars. And it's like I look at this woman and she didn't act alone. This was either a system that they were going to enact in different parts of the country with different people, hoping to kickstart these GoFundMe campaigns, because to Trace's point, they're not going to vet these stories. There are a lot of news outlets that will run with them. And, what happens when you broadcast things like that? People are going to give more and more money. So it's like, who put her up to this? Who was going to profit from this? And it's kind of scary. I'm glad they found her. I'm glad they tracked her down. They looked at her phone and they realized the calls she was making were from her phone. She just masked her number to make it look anonymous, like she was calling from someone else's burner phone.
Marie, the thing, too, is that not only does this render vulnerable ICE agents and that it adds to the fomentation of this climate, but the real injuries and the real vulnerability to many of these illegal immigrants are working with the cartels and coming over here. So this helps no one to further a false narrative that ICE has kidnapped this woman.
Well, and the reason I am furious about this and think that this woman should be prosecuted and held to account is because I think there are a lot of things ICE is doing that should be criticized. We now know there were dozens of prisoners on these flights to El Salvador. We don't know their names. They're unaccounted for. We don't know where they came from. We don't know if they had court orders to deport them. It's not just ICE, rounding up the worst of the worst. We know that from their own data. They are arresting grandmothers and young children and other peoples who are here illegally, but who are not committing crimes, have not committed a crime. So I think ICE should come under scrutiny right now. And I do think they should show themselves. I do think they should identify themselves. I don't think we are a country where you can arrest people and not identify yourself. When people do this kind of thing, they give the other side the opportunity to say, look, everyone's lying. ICE isn't doing anything wrong. It's all a hoax. And it's not all a hoax. We know it's not. But she hurts that cause, and she should be held to account for that.
And the children are obviously attached to their parents that have records and grandmother. I mean, I cheered with a grandmother on Raiders. It doesn't mean. But the whole point is that Marie's point is accurate, which is it muddies the waters so that all facts are called into question.
And that's not right. They're not arresting the grandmothers and arresting the grandkids. They are detaining people who are ensnared, in these investigations and these operations, who were people that were with the other people who had criminal records.
Trace,
they were going after, and they got in there, and most of them,
that's not true.
If you're in the country illegally and you take them up, if you're ensnared in one of those things, you're going as well.
But the 75-year-old grandmother is not a hardened criminal.
A 75-year-old grandmother.
This lady in pink is fear-mongering all Americans. Like, she wants Americans to be scared. She wants people to be sympathetic to illegal immigrants in this country, to hide and harbor them. No. These people, these illegal immigrants, have responsibilities, just as every law-abiding American citizen. We all have responsibilities and consequences to things that we do in this country. We're not just going to be deporting and handcuffing grandmas and kids and deporting them. There has to be a certain reason. And just like the gentleman said, a lot of these bust. If you are with somebody that's illegal and they have a history of crimes, and you are also there and you happen to be illegal and you're a grandma and you have not committed any other crime besides coming into this country illegally, guess what, grandma? You're going to jail too. We're taking you. That's just the way it is. And then they have to keep the kids together. And then you hear these idiots that come on TV saying, oh, they're separating families. Well, now we're not separating families. We're keeping the kid with their parent. Guess what, kid? You're getting deported with your parent. You're not going to be separated from your parent and then you're in a foster care system if you're legally a legal citizen here in this country. And this is actually a good segue because I know there is a Republican and a Democrat that have tried to pass a bill in 2023 in regards to the Dignity Act. The Dignity Act of 2023 that didn't get past the House. And now they're trying to reintroduce it, the Dignity Act of 2025, which has, I believe, 10 Republican supporters and about 12 Democrat supporters for the bill. But because of the big, beautiful bill, I do not believe that it will even get close to passing. And just for you people that aren't familiar with what the Dignity Act is, the Dignity Act of 2025 is a bipartisan bill introduced in the House of Representatives by Representatives Maria Elvira Salazar, a Republican from Florida, and Veronica Escobar, a Democrat from Texas, aimed at reforming the U.S. immigration system. The bill focuses on providing legal status and protections to undocumented immigrants already in the U.S., reforming the asylum process, enhancing border security, and addressing workforce needs. Now, this, from what I read, they were trying to propose something where if you're an illegal immigrant that's already here in this country, you should get an extension of a 7-year legal status here in this country to basically pay some fines and gain your citizenship to be in this country. A lot of Republicans are against this because they think this is some sort of amnesty for these individuals. And I believe this is a good first step, the Dignity Act, and this is something I mentioned right after Trump became president. I believe there should be a minor detail added to this bill in which if you have committed no other crimes besides crossing the border illegally, then you should qualify for this type of program in the Dignity Act of 2025. But if you have committed other crimes more than just coming to this country illegally, even if it's a speeding ticket, a traffic violation, you don't qualify. You got to get deported back to your home country. We are wanting and to encourage people of the world to listen up and say, hey, we are inviting people of good character to come into this country. If you're coming to come here illegally and reap the benefits of hardworking American citizens, then no, you get deported back to your home country. That's just my opinion. That should be tweaked a little bit in this bill, and I believe it could have passed, and it should have been introduced as day one of the Trump administration, but they waited 7 months after Trump's been president. I think it's a little too late. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Like and subscribe, I would appreciate it. Till next time, peace out, everybody.